Well, guys, it is Principles of Hunting. Um, it's been a while, and I want to apologize for that. And it's been a crazy summer. I'm going to share some of that with you probably in a separate video. But today, I'm back in the food plot. So if you haven't been following along and you're new to the channel, you don't realize how long I've been gone. If you have been following the channel, it's been probably about 2 months since my last video. And like I said, I apologize for that. It's been a crazy summer and a lot of things happening to go with that. But it's a hot, humid day here in Missouri. We just had a good rainstorm this morning, and this is the first day that I've really just taken a chance to get away from home, get away from some stuff at school, and get in here and do a little bit more work before I have to actually start getting something officially ready for the fall. So if you haven't already, hit subscribe down below, follow along, and let's get started. Well, guys, like I said, I'm back here in my food plot, and I started working on this back like literally I think January 16th. Right after we got done with bow season, I came in here, started looking at this spot because I'd seen it during rifle and bow season. I'd actually hunted up here during bow season one day and seen a couple of does. It wasn't exactly very far of a shot, but it was very crowded in here. There was a lot of brush and cedar trees in here, and so I wasn't able to get a shot. And so what I decided was I was going to check this area out. There's definitely some movement through here on some side-by-side trails that have been overgrown. And so I kind of got intrigued by what was going on and what was happening in this area. And I decided to come in here and do some work. Homeowner gave me permission to cut out some of the old scrub trees, especially cedars. And I got started on that. I got a pretty good start for a couple of weekends and opened up about half of this area, maybe a little more than half. And it's about 1/4 of an acre, and there's still about probably about 1/8 of an acre, maybe a little less, that still has some cedar trees, which I'm going to work on a little bit today. So you'll see that here in just a little bit. But it's a hot, humid day here in Missouri, so I'm not going to be spending a whole lot of time out here. So what I'm going to do today is, you can't really see it right here. I'll take some pictures, but I refreshed my mineral lick. The last time I was out here, one of the last videos, they had pretty well mowed this thing down. You saw in some of my previous videos that I've got a pretty good doe group here. With a couple of small bucks, or at least earlier this year, back in February, March, of some young bucks. There was about 8 or 9 of them coming through here every so often and really hitting us pretty hard. In fact, when I came back in here today, I don't have any mineral left. In fact, probably haven't been since probably May. And they have been eating holes in the stump. They're digging holes around the stump in the ground. And so I went ahead and I put another basically Big 6 mineral block that you could buy at any basically farm store. And so I know it's not deer specific. I know it doesn't have a feed block. I know it's not a Big and Tasty or anything like that, or Big and Juicy, whatever they call that. It's not one of the higher dollar blocks. I think this was $10. You can find them cheaper. I think Orscheln's has them for like $7. But it does provide a basic amount of trace minerals and mineral salts and different things like that that deer do need. But like I said, it is not a high dollar block in any way, shape, or form. I do think if you look at some of the block options out there, even at the farm stores, I think you could find some like goat and sheep specific blocks that might even be a better quality for deer. I've not gone into that a whole lot. I've not done a lot of research into that. Looking at some of these different block options might be for you. You might have the idea of, I want to spend the money on, a small trophy rock or something like that. And believe me, those are probably definitely great options for hunting. For me, $10, $7, $8 for a block that I can use that will last. This block will probably be here getting close to the end of bow season, to be honest with you. It'll probably last me until probably December, January, before I would even really need to think about replacing it. So as you can see behind me, haven't done a whole lot of clearing, but there is some brush that's grown in. Back here was where I'd cleared the majority of the trees. This was still kind of the normal natural vegetation that was here previously. And it's not super thick. There's definitely some grasses in here. I planted some clover, if you remember from a couple videos back, like $4 worth of red, and I think Ladina clover or Durana clover. And I do have some growing. I'll take some pictures for you and post that in here, but nothing too thick, nothing too heavy. I definitely need to come in here with probably a brush cutter or an old lawnmower and mow over some of the briars that are starting in here in the main plot. Obviously, I don't want to kill everything off to the sides because use that eventually. So today I'm going to do some work on this, and I'm going to show you kind of what I'm accomplished so far. I have put my block back out, I put my camera back out, and I want to start taking some inventory of what's here before we get too close to September 15th. I'd like to be able to come in and probably pull my card mid-August, end of August, and then leave it alone until I come in here and hunt again in September, and then I'll probably switch my cards out while I'm actually in here hunting one time. But as I'm in here today, I'm going to cut out a few more cedars, probably a couple of these little hickory trees. There's a bunch of them in here, and there's a couple of larger hickories that I'm going to leave. But once I get this opened up, I'm going to try a couple things, and I'll show you what that is here in just a moment. So stay tuned. I'm going to get the chainsaw running and do a little work around here and get some ideas so I can do a little more cleanup before I start planting something you might want to stick around and see. So guys, as I told you at the beginning of the video, I'm just here doing some work. It's been about an hour. I have sweated way too much to be out here much longer, but I did get about a half a dozen to a dozen trees that were 4 to 5 inches cleared, a couple cedar trees, a couple hickory trees, and then probably a dozen or so of just tiny little couple inches here or there. And probably opened up another 40, 50 feet of the food plot to start letting some sunlight in. Redid my salt lick, which I showed you some of the pictures of that earlier. Told you I was going to be doing something that you might want to stick around for, and did that, as well as got some more trees out of the way and got my camera back out. So I'm going to share all of that with you in this video, but what I told you to stick around for was this. As before, I've told you I'm a novice guy, I'm a budget-minded guy, and I try to do things on a budget. And so earlier this year, I think it was February, very early March, I came out here, had been doing a couple weeks worth of clearing on this property and made it, I don't know, maybe 1/8 of an acre clear, or for mostly clear, and let some sunlight get to the floor and hopefully open this up a little bit. It's been really dry here in Missouri, so it's really not super thick in here. There's some natural grasses going, there's some briars growing, some small little trees restarting. And so ultimately what I'm going to have to do is I'm really going to have to come in here and work on this. But when I did the clover, I didn't do anything. I didn't blow off leaves, I didn't till, I didn't kill grass, I didn't spray anything. I literally just came in here, threw about $4 worth of Durana and red clover on top of this and just let it grow. And some pictures here that as I'm talking about this, you can see it's not super thick. I mean, there's a little bit there, and I'm not expecting it to be a destination food plot, obviously. There's a lot of fescue and different things down below in the pasture where the cows eat and things like that that they fertilize. So obviously there's more food down there if they really wanted it. The hay fields are pretty thick around here. But what I am hoping is there's bedding off the hillside, kind of off to the northeast of this, more kind of facing the south, this south-facing slope. And so when we were up here in the winter, that video is posted on my channel as well, we did find a few beds along this little shallow ridge here. And so about 60, 70, maybe 100 yards away from this plot is some bedding area. So probably some does. There could be some bucks bedding up in here on this ridge, but just from the amount of beds I found in the area, I'm assuming it's probably doe beds because I didn't see a lot of historical or fresh sign from rubs. That was a little further down the hill, and I believe that was more of a travel corridor. So all of this coming together for me to try to do something in this area, to do a little bit of hunting over occasionally, or try to find the trails that are coming in and out. That's why I'm putting the camera out again today. Some guys would run them all summer. I'll be honest with you, I got so busy I didn't get them out. I usually try to let them go about 2 to 3 weeks before I ever come back in to try to touch them. And I've got it set up at an angle over my mineralic and what I was going to talk to you about here in just a little bit. So I'm going to show you kind of what I did. And again, all budget minded. All I did was take a rake in where I had some cedar trees and some brush and things that I cleared out that was heavy with leaves. I raked the leaves off in about a 4 foot wide by, I don't know, 20, 25 foot long section that kind of splits this a little bit in half. It kind of shields one of the entry points. It kind of shields a little bit of the upper side where there was some bedding. And then the main plot kind of opens up where the mineralic is and down the other trail. So budget minded as I am, planted a garden this year, and I bought sweet corn and pole beans for my garden. And my garden's 30 by 25, something like that. It's not a very big garden. And so I wanted to buy some decent quality sweet corn and beans, and I had this huge bag of beans and sweet corn still in my garage. In fact, I still have enough to replant my garden completely over again if I wanted to, probably twice. But I took about, I don't know, 2 handfuls of each, brought them with me today, and I threw them into the ground. I'm going to cover them back up a little bit here before I leave with some raking, try to get them into the ground. And we're supposed to get some rain tomorrow. And what I'm hoping, even if it doesn't come in heavy, even if it's obviously not a destination food source, hoping for a little bit of screening, hoping for a little bit of something different. If they don't mow this completely off before it gets grown, which is a very good possibility, I'm hoping that this will give me a little bit of screening as well as a little bit of maybe variety here in this area that might draw them a little bit closer so that I can use these trails or set up my tree stand in one of these larger trees to the edge and do some hunting. So I apologize that it's been a while since my last video, and obviously it's been some time with busyness of summer. I'm going to post a video hopefully within the next week and giving you a little bit of rundown of what this summer has entailed and what all has happened to us. Most of it's been pretty good, but it's just been busy, as well as get you some gear ideas of what I'm going to be doing for hunting this year. So stay tuned to the channel, guys. I hope to be able to start bringing you some more videos a little bit more regularly. I've got one more little vacation coming up next week where I will be doing some camping with the family, and then it's back to full-time job. Stay tuned to the channel, guys. If you haven't already, hit subscribe, follow along.